A number of years ago, I was at the driving range at our local golf course here, Westlake Village. And it was one morning, and there was a film crew there, and one of the men came up and spoke to me after he saw me probably golfing not so well. And he and I got into a good conversation. He was waiting for the next shot to be set up with sound, with lighting, with camera. We got into a great conversation. His name was Tim, or Timothy Gallwey. You might be familiar with him. He authored a number of books called The Inner Game. And when I was an aspiring tennis player, I read The Inner Game of Tennis. And then as a terrible golfer, but let's say aspiring to do better than I did one shot prior, it was The Inner Game of Golf. So what happened was that morning, he and I got into a conversation. He told me that PBS was there filming a documentary about his inner game idea. And he asked me if I wanted, as a singer, rabbi, but he focused more on the fact that I was a singer, to participate. So I did, and I'm sure it's out there somewhere, the evidence of that. What happened was I would square off with the ball and the tee, and I'd make the decision to strike the ball. And then it would go in any direction and distance that it seemed to want. But what he would have me doing a moment later was singing, or at least humming a melody, while I did the same mechanical act. And lo and behold, it was clean and almost in every case beautiful and straight. So what was his point? It was to say that when we hum, we shut off the inner talk that's damaging our outer results. And I think that's true in life for all of us. Think about the inner talk, the chatter at 3 in the morning, but the chatter at 3 in the afternoon as well. Think about the inherited speeches, words, quotes that we've taken as truth, that we've taken as part and parcel of who we are, that we might not even notice is constantly like a soundtrack in the back of our life and in the front of our mind. If I call it a soundtrack, you might think about it differently. Forget the golf, the tennis. Think about you and life, and ask yourself about the soundtrack that is habitually, constantly, almost hummably at this point, going on in your mind about yourself. Maybe it's the self-talk that says, I can't, I won't. Maybe it's the self-talk that says, it's too late, why bother? Maybe it's the self-talk that says, they're not even interested in what I have to say. Maybe it's the self-talk that says, why should I bother trying out for this or that opportunity? I'm not worth it, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, I'm not fill in the blank. But all of that goes on in our mind like a melody in the background. Imagine the movie without the soundtrack and what the soundtrack adds. In this case, what it does is diminishes us. If you believe, as I do, that God places you in this world and keeps you in this world, most crucially, in any given day and moment, gives you heartbeat and breath and clarity of mind for a reason, then ask yourself if that soundtrack is beneath you and beneath your purpose. Instead, ask yourself a different question, which is, how do I change the soundtrack? How do I switch to a different, more lyrical, beautiful melody? How do I change it from I can't to I can, and I'm going to? And what happens if I fail? Absolutely nothing in most cases, most instances in our lives. And what if instead of saying, it's too late in my life to try this or that, we say, there's never been a better moment to do what I'm intended to do, to live my purpose, to be creative, to be extraordinary, to add beauty to my own story and to the stories of people around me in this world.